Thanks for joining us for City Council Comments. I'm Steve Erickson along with Council Member Steve Wells. Today we're talking about both the June 7th and the June 21st City Council meetings. Thanks for being here today, Steve.
Thank you. Good morning.
We're actually finally into summer here officially this week, so.
Yes, it's been nice. It's going to get hot this weekend.
Yeah, so nice week this week. Last week, not so nice. Our first summer meeting got rained out.
Yeah, the only day of the week it rained was that Tuesday, so it's been rescheduled, and I don't have the date off the top of my head. I believe it's in August.
Yeah, I don't know that I hadn't heard it was rescheduled yet, but I know they were going to do that. But there are 3 other meetings this summer, correct?
Correct. The next one is coming up. I'll make sure July 12th at Sunrise Pond Park. That's at 6:30. So that'll be the next meeting. Kind of a delay with the 4th of July weekend coming up.
Okay, but those are definitely a good time for people to come out and kind of meet with their council members, hear from city staff, and kind of find out what's going on in the community and also ask questions.
The whole staff is represented, whether it's Public Works, Police, Fire, golf course, everyone is there. Most of the council shows up, if not all of the council, so excellent time to ask questions or just come out to meet people, and always things for the kids. Always love the big equipments, the fire truck, so lots of things to do, police car, so yeah, the whole family.
All right, so again, you said the first meeting, well, this will be our first official meeting, seeing our first one got canceled on July 12th at Sunrise Pond Park. They run from 6:30 to 8 p.m. There's a presentation usually around 7 o'clock.
Correct.
So if you can't attend that one, again, there's the 2 others plus the one that needs to be rescheduled. So you can check out the city's website, coonrapidsmn.gov, for the latest on that. We will now jump into our 2 meetings here from June. We're going to start with the June 21st meeting. One of the first items there was accepting a community partnership grant. This is from CenterPoint Energy, and it's going to be put to good use.
Yeah, for the Heart Safe initiative. Obviously, no matter what you do, you need equipment, and Brian Plotz, who spearheads that, has done a wonderful job, but you get to the point where the equipment gets used, and that's a good thing, and gets old. So yeah, that money from CenterPoint is going to be put to good use to buy equipment, mannequins that could be used for training and that type of thing. So very appreciative of that.
Yeah, and that Heart Safe program has really just taken off, kind of gone globally too. I know we're doing some teaching overseas, so.
Yeah, Officer Plotz has been to England, and I know he was involved in a big conference in San Diego and stuff, and it's really nice that the city is kind of been a leader in starting this initiative, and it's so important, and yet it's so simple. I mean, people are so afraid to get involved sometimes or feel like they'll do damage, and Brian Plotz obviously is passionate about it and can do a better job of explaining it than me, but obviously if someone's heart has stopped, there's nothing you can do that'll make matters worse. So to just be able to do that CPR, and of course by learning it, you're comfortable enough to do it and realize that even though there's some technique and you need to learn, it's not that difficult. Pretty much anyone can do CPR. So it's very important, and obviously we've already had saves, and not just locally, but in different spots where CPR was done immediately and someone's been brought back to life. So that's awesome. Yeah,
and they've been training kids, so if kids can do it, I imagine adults can do it too.
Yeah, and it's, sadly, every once in a while you hear about a 17-year-old or a 19-year-old. It's not just older people that have these issues, and so yeah, it's great that the high school has adopted it and really got into it. That's great.
All right. Mayor Cook administered the oath of office to our newest police officer, Officer Hatstrom, and this name sounds really familiar.
Yeah, his dad, Captain John Hatstrom, when he retired just last year, was on the department for I think 29 years, and yeah, I think of John Hatstrom as a kid. He was one of the first people I trained in our FTO program back when he started in the 80s. So he had a great career here, and obviously I've known his son since he was born. So very exciting. Get someone that's got that connection to the city, and I know in speaking to Chief Wise and others that Alex is very excited, to be on the Coon Rapids Police Department, and they're certainly excited to have him. So yeah, that was great to see.
I said that to someone, that it's kind of scary when you see your coworkers' kids are actually old enough to be sworn in as a police officer. That's when you know you're getting old, man.
Yeah, I have lots of evidence I'm getting old. So.
All right. Mayor Cook also presented the Minnesota Women of Today Founders Day Proclamation. This is actually a new group that has recently formed in Coon Rapids.
Yeah, it seems like they're very excited to get involved, and they're involved in a lot of good causes. And I didn't know that much about them, but it's exciting, and I hope people that want to get involved and be, with a good organization and see some of the things they do, and maybe that'll interest them, and they can maybe take a look and join them.
All right. Council approved a memorandum of understanding with Anoka County. This is for a U.S. Department of Justice grant. These grants seem like we get on a yearly basis. It seems, anyways.
Yeah, for the most part, and they really work out nice. And there's a whole list of equipment the police department's going to get through that. And knowing from past experience, it's difficult to get everything into a budget process. Yeah. Budgets are always tight, and sometimes there's things that really aren't luxuries, but they just don't get through. And anytime you can get a little extra money to buy some equipment that's needed, but you don't get through the budget process, it's very appreciated.
Okay, and this looks like it's about a $10,000 grant from the U.S. Department of Justice. Like you said, various equipment that the officers are going to be ordering.
Correct.
All right. Moving along, we had an ordinance introduction. This is to amend park hours and overnight parking. I know this is something that's been talked about for a little bit now. You guys had some work sessions on this?
Yeah, there was, there's some confusion because different parks had different hours, and now it'll be consistent. And I hope I get this right, from 10 p.m. till 5, with the exception of some of the ball fields when games go a little later and stuff. There'll be no overnight parking in the parks, and the parks will be closed. It'll be consistent, and like I said, for those exceptions, when maybe when Sand Creek reopens, when maybe a ball game goes till 10:30 or something, then that'll be fine. The one thing I would like to say, though, this is probably from my law enforcement background. Sometimes we get that question. Well, I left my car because I went to a local pub and had a few, and I didn't want to drive. Mm-hmm. Well, obviously, we never want anyone to drive that believes they've had too much to drink. So call the police department and tell them, I left my car at the park because I got a ride with a friend. And this would be the case if you left your car anywhere that maybe doesn't allow overnight parking. And certainly no one's going to issue a ticket to a car that you did the right thing and didn't drive. So, sometimes I hear that from people. Well, I drove because, well, obviously driving when you're impaired is far worse than leaving your car in the park. But just call the police department. I mean, the same goes in the wintertime when we have our 2 to 6 parking ban. If you shouldn't be driving, we don't want you to drive impaired. Just call the police department and say, yes, my car's on the street because I shouldn't drive, and you're not going to be ticketed.
All right, so the new park hours are established at 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. essentially, so that's when cars can be there. So the overnight parking would be basically in effect from 10 to 5.
Correct.
Except at these exceptions, like some of the soccer complex, the ball fields during certain times of the year, it sounds like.
That's right.
Okay. All right, so again, that's an introduction of an ordinance that will come back to council for formal adoption at a future meeting. We also had a second introduction of an ordinance, or this was actually a third, regulating predatory offenders' residency. This is something that was also recently workshopped, I believe.
Yeah, there's some concerns that with the changes in some of the state policies of the releasing of sex offenders, that you don't want to be the community that makes it the easiest for them to come into your town. So we thought some restrictions in regards to schools and daycares and in relationship to other predatory offenders that are already here. We realize, and we're not attempting to eliminate people from coming into our community because we can't. I mean, we legally can't. But I think these restrictions are they're honest, and I think they would withstand a court challenge if such was to ever happen. A lot of communities are doing similar things, and so we just thought it was necessary to get on top of it.
Okay, and I know this ordinance would not impact existing predatory offenders that are in town, but when I last looked, we don't have any level 3
at this point,
offenders in town.
We do not.
Okay, so this again is an introduction. It will come back to council, and like you said, there's several different components as far as where you can live or who you can live with as well.
Correct.
All right. That's about all we had on our June 18th, or not 18th, the 21st council meeting. We'll go back now to our first meeting of the month. That happened June 7th. We had quite a few things on that agenda. One, a discussion regarding the Gateway Commerce Center planned unit development, another amendment to that. And this amendment will basically allow for a car dealership to come into that site.
That's correct. Initially, the car dealership was going to come in on about 6 acres, and then they had went through and decided they wanted to expand, which would be closer to 11 acres. And there was some concern on council that that's obviously quite a bit of the property that's there, but I think as it was talked through, it's a good use of the land there. I think a car dealership, located off Highway 10 where it has high visibility, and I was just talking to a local businessman yesterday, and he thinks it'll be the stimulus to maybe get a couple restaurants in there, because there's a couple parcels that are suited to be restaurants, and with the car dealership there, with not only the employees obviously, but the people that'll bring in, maybe that'll help stimulate the rest of that growth. But I feel good about it because I like the fact that there are good paying jobs there. Obviously, salesmen, mechanics, they make a good living, and I think that's good for the community. So I think it's a good fit. There was, originally the swim club wanted to come in on a parcel of that land, but unfortunately for them, they just couldn't come up with the funds. As a nonprofit, it's always difficult to raise the kind of money that it would take, and I know they're still trying, but it wasn't something that was going to happen in the near future. So my personal belief was you couldn't hold up the development on something that may or may not happen.
Right. And this development has been in the works for a long time. I know there's been some discussion regarding the number of amendments that have been made to this PUD, but this is something that I believe was approved, back in 2008 or something, maybe the original, or even before then?
I think maybe even before that. And
so you got to expect maybe some changes over time as the market changes.
Exactly. And then, it's difficult because a lot of us on council, weren't there when that PUD was first approved. But I really believe that, sometimes, like you say, at the time, the PUD fits, but as years go by, it may not, and you can't be held to something that was done years ago, like you say, if the marketplace just isn't going to go that way. So, yeah, there's been some changes, but like I said, I think this is going to be a positive change, and I think people will appreciate having a major car dealership there.
All right. So that was approval of an amendment to the PUD, and also council granted the final plat approval for that project. Council also adopted an ordinance. This establishes a fee for keeping chickens. This is something we've talked about now for a couple months. There's actually a fee in place now for the actual permit process.
Yeah, correct. It's a $100 fee, and the city makes very strong effort to make sure that the fee is indicative of the costs involved. There'll be inspections and that type of thing, and I believe this is a one-time fee, so I think it's a reasonable fee. I mean, the city doesn't need to recoup, no pun intended, their costs for things. So I think that the people that desire to have chickens, I don't think they're going to be too put off by that fee. Obviously, everyone would like to not spend money on things, but I think it's a fair fee, so that was established.
Yeah, and it is a process because you do have to get the permit, you have to apply for it, submit a supplement, and also submit the plan for your coop. So there is some, and then the staff has to go out and inspect it. So there is
staff time involved. Yes, correct.
All right. Council approved a site plan. This is for Mercy Hospital. They're going to make some additions to their building and also add a parking deck, which I have to say is much needed over there.
Yeah, it really is. And initially, when you first hear about it, it kind of goes against the grain because the parking deck is actually going to be in front of the hospital, between the hospital and Coon Rapids Boulevard. But if you see the plans, this is not your normal parking deck. This is, a very, very well done building, and I think it's going to be a huge asset to both the hospital and obviously the clients and the patients that are coming there and stuff. But I think it's gonna fit in better than you initially think when you hear a parking ramp in front. But unfortunately, the way the layout is there, that's really the only place for them to put the parking. And I just think it's going to be such an improvement to the traffic flow there.
Yeah, and they're kind of also redesigning the ER entrance as well, and kind of shifting that to the west side of the building off Blackfoot or something like that.
The whole, and the main entrance and the ER entrance and stuff, the plans are, it looks really well done. Yeah. I think it's going to be a nice facility, nicer facility.
And as far as the parking deck, it'll be a 3-level parking deck. It looks like 329 spaces, and then there will be a 40,000 square foot expansion of the operating room, reconfiguring the emergency room, and the main entrances, and in addition to the central utility area. So quite a bit of changes. I know they showed us some of the diagrams. There's some animation. It looked like it was going to be really nice.
That is, the whole Mercy Hospital complex has obviously stimulated so much growth on that end of the boulevard. In fact, I just was down there today, and you just look around at all the specialty involved in medical of some kind or another that is all over that west end of our city. So that's been great. And the other thing that's nice to point out is they have they are not going to collect a fee. It's not, the ramp is going to be free for people come in, so it's not going to be the type of thing where you're going to have to pay to park.
Right, and I'm sure they want them to go to those areas, and if you're going to have to pay to park, you're going to still have some parking issues because there's people that are not going to pay the fee. So
correct.
All right. Well, that's all we had for the items that we wanted to talk about there. Quick reminder before we go, the summer concert series is underway at the Coon Rapids Dam. Yeah,
we've had 2 beautiful nights with well-attended concerts, and tonight, the 23rd. I did not have the band that's there tonight. I'm sorry.
I forget which band it is. I don't know if
Yeah, it's a
Centennial Community Band. I'm being told.
Centennial Community Band, yes, and they play a variety of music. And then we'll take the week off next week, and then the 7th is Holy Rock and Rolla. I think that would be rock and roll, and then it continues on through August 11th every Thursday night. So it's really been great out there, and despite our overcast morning, I think it's supposed to be nice this evening. And so come on out to the concert. Like I said, the music. I think this year they've got a great lineup of music, and of course it's so weather dependent. Although you wouldn't be surprised how many people we get out there, even if it's raining a little bit. We have some real diehards out there.
Yeah, because it's held rain or shine. So
yeah, it is, and believe me, I've been out there in the rain. But and then of course, hard to believe, but the 4th of July weekend is coming up, and the 2nd through the 4th, and there's just all kinds of activities. The parade on Saturday, and obviously, the fire department. I'm biased, but I think they do the best fireworks display around, and that'll obviously be on the 4th. And so much to do out there in our new location by the ice arena for the 2nd year now, and I think that's worked out really well. There's actually a lot of room there to run that, and so yeah, get the same on the city's website for there's so much going on, craft show, car show, there's all kinds of things going on. So and obviously the rides in Midway area.
And the new event this year, they have the Firecracker 5K going on July 2nd at 9 a.m. So they're going to kind of run a 5K, or people can walk it if they want. So they can certainly sign up for that online as well. And I think they're taking same-day registration. So if you aren't able to register ahead of time, you can register like an hour before the event. So that's something new that they're doing this year.
You can tell that I'm not a runner. I forgot about the 5K, but I suppose I could go out and walk it, But,
yeah, I could do that, exactly.
But yeah, they actually, for a first event, the last I heard, they were very pleased with the initial numbers they had, for the first time. So yeah, that'll be exciting.
So now we'll hope for nice weather for that. And then also for the parade, which again is on Saturday the 2nd, that gets underway at 4 p.m. If you can't make it out there, we will have it live right here on CTN. So hoping for a good turnout for that and nice weather for that as well.
Yes, the 4th of July, obviously the weather makes a big difference in attendance and stuff. Even being too hot can sometimes slow down the crowd. But although normally it's just the rain we hope we don't get, because people will usually tough out the heat, but the rain will do you in.
Yes, exactly. All right, well that's all I have for today, unless there's anything else that you want to add.
No, just people enjoy your summer and hope to see you out at the 4th.
All right. Well, thank you for being here today, talking to us
thank you.
about the meetings. Thank you at home for watching, and we'll look for you back here again after our 2 meetings in July.